Tales of Tanorio came out this past Sunday, so I figured I'd give a good old review about it because I've been very critical during their entire development period. I am recording this on Wednesday, so it has been a few days since the release, but I am basing this, review off of the release because, well, first impressions are a very big and important thing. But, a few disclaimers here. One, this isn't your usual scripted video. I will be just kind of ad-libbing this. I do have a few notes down, but, I'm a very stuttery boy, so bear with me, please. Now, also, because this is a review, this will have opinions, and I guarantee you're not going to like some of them. But, there's no ill will here. It's not meant to be antagonizing or demeaning. I'm just going to be critical because throughout the development period, these developers are mainly Lucky, the community manager. They were setting these really high expectations with some of their phrasing.
It is truly going to literally, I'm going to say it's going to change creature capturing games on Roblox. Just the quality, the fun, the battles. There's too much stuff that I can't even say right now.
And so that kind of stuff, it sets expectations. So I'm going to be critical because if their goal is to, release this high quality product that, changes the way we kind of go about creature capture games, then this level of criticism is warranted because it'll help them, hopefully, improve their game and get it to the level they want it to be at. Obviously, not to say that my opinion alone is what will improve their game, but please take something away from this video. But anyway, enough rambling. I'm gonna open up with a little bit about the story. No spoilers, obviously, because I'm not. You should play the game for yourself if you want it for the story. But I do want to say the story does generally feel like your typical Pokemon game, but it is pretty bare bones, even in comparison to Pokemon. There's no real objective to the journey outside of, the professor sent you off for research. There's no real objective to the game yet. We're almost to the third stadium with the game. And there's nothing really motivating, the character to do the thing outside of the professor's request. Unless I vastly missed something, but I'm honestly, the story doesn't really bother me. I just wanted to throw that out there. This is a Roblox game. I'm not expecting some professional story writing. I just wanted to throw my thoughts on the story in general. And speaking on the story, the gameplay itself, the level curve is a little bit weird. I'm mostly okay with it because it's balanced around how I usually play the game. The level curve is balanced with you defeating all of the trainers once, just one time in mind. The problem with that is that there are a lot of trainers. There are a lot. And so as a result of this, the first stadium, or gym equivalent, if you will, gets up to level 20, the second up to level 30, and there are just a lot of jumps in these levels that, unless you are playing the game as they intended, you're going to be caught off guard by it. Which I guess in this regard, it could make speedruns interesting. I'd like to see how people optimize what trainers they fight and skip without, compromising their ability to get through the objectives. But yeah, the level curve is definitely interesting. But now, as for the creatures themselves, models and designs, they're pretty hit or miss. Obviously, this is highly opinionated, but a lot of them, there are some good ones, there's some bad ones, but there's nothing bad enough that actually worsened my experience for the game. There were some funny looking ones, but nothing that was okay, why did this game come out like this? Obviously, nothing to that level. But as for my experience overall, there were, again, it plays like a normal Pokemon game, really. But there were a lot of small things that just kind of added and compounded together to really make playing the game kind of annoying. And seeing it all like back to back to back to back, like there's a lot that just adds up, and it really makes it feel like the game was rushed. And I don't think anybody's going to argue that. Like I feel like the game definitely was rushed. I don't think it was ready to release, but like some examples, or I have a whole list written here. May sound like a lot because it is a lot, but again, I'm not trying to slight the devs here. I'm just there are a lot of issues. One being the clunky UI. This is probably my number one issue with the game. And I don't mean like the UI looking bad, because yeah, the UI looks bad in almost every regard, but like the functionality of it. Like if you go into your party menu for one, as an example, there's no click and dragging. So the like moving your party around is really clunky. And on top of that, if you select one of your Fairlight, I said Fairlight, why is that in my head? What the heck? Anyway, sorry. Tanorian. I don't know why that was in my head, but Tanorian, you cannot select another Tanorian unless you manually close that little menu and click on another. Which is like, again, it's a small thing, but it's really clunky, and it kind of bogs it down. And on top, another one with that is like the move selection or move swapping. Like you can relearn moves whenever you want, but the move swapping is incredibly clunky. Like because when you select one, the one that replaces it doesn't update like the description, and so you don't know, you don't get a feeling for what it does until you close the menu, reopen it, and then like read the description again. So again, it's not that big of an issue, but it is one that kind of slows you down, and it's really clunky. And on top of the whole move relearning thing, when you level up in the game, the game will tell you like X Tenorian can learn a new move, and not specifying what the move is, which is kind of annoying, because then you have to go in and check what the move is. But there's a problem in which when you get to 4 moves, when your Tenorian has 4 moves, the game no longer tells you that you learn a new move, or you can learn a new move. So that makes it so every level after that, you have to go in and check to see if you have learned a new move. And I remember I was running a Watts, and I forgot about this, and so I had, this really weak move set for quite a while before I finally remembered to go like, oh yeah, I need to kind of update it. So again, it's just a little thing that bogs down the experience for me. Another thing, speaking of level up, please, for the love of God, fix this. Your health does not increase when you level up. So if you have like 22 HP and then you level up to like level 6 or 7, and your max HP goes up to 25 or 26, your health stays at 22. Fix it. That's annoying. That's a no-no. Don't do that. That's stupid. Another annoying little point here is all those trainers you have to fight, by the way, like in your normal Pokemon game, and I know I'm saying Pokemon a lot, but like this was a Pokemon inspired game, so I'm going to bring Pokemon into this. You can either walk in front of them or you can talk to them, and generally speedrunners will talk to them because it saves time from like their animation stuff. You physically cannot talk to trainers or takers in this game without walking in front of them. It will physically not let you talk to them, which is very annoying. I'm a person that likes to like I like to play the game differently. Like there are some I'll sometimes I'll run in front of them, sometimes I'll talk to them, but like not having the option is incredibly annoying. I hope that gets addressed. PC boxes, they are some of the worst things I've ever seen. Both like the look of it is not good, and the fact that there is no functionality outside of taking Tenorians out and putting them in. You cannot view their summary, so if you have a full party and you catch something new, you have to go into into the PC or station or whatever it's called, and pull it out and put it into your party, close it, and then open up your party to look at, the summary or of what you just caught, which is incredibly why? Who thought that was good game design? I'd like to talk to them. I just want to talk. I just want to talk. Anyway, it's not good. No. And speaking of going back to these stations and, having, being forced to do all that to look at your Tenorians, the loading and reloading times, like when you're going from area to area, it's especially really annoying going into the healing station and walking out. Everything just kind of like they deload pretty much everything. Like it's especially bad in like the story mode when Kira is like your companion, your main companion, and they're present in pretty much every cutscene. They'll deload her, and so when you get to another cutscene, you see her phasing into existence little by little. Like it'll load the model, and then the texture is not there, and it'll take a little bit of time to get the texture up on in there. Like, that stuff is just incredibly awkward, and this is more so targeted at my PC specifically, but for some odd reason, like I have a good PC and my internet's pretty good, or at least my downloading part's pretty good. Not my upload, as everybody who's seen my streams can attest to, but for some reason, my computer just has hatred towards Roblox, and so it loads like textures and stuff incredibly slowly. So for me personally, I've been stuck waiting for so long at some points because like these games won't progress until like stuff is loaded, which is fine, but like it's bad when everything gets unloaded and deloaded in such a weird and bizarre way, and it really slowed my game down, and it really just got on my nerves. And speaking of slowing down, let's keep on the station. The process of healing at the station in general, that animation needs to be sped up, dude. Because I'll just get into the general gist of like the gameplay. The game plays incredibly slowly. Like whenever you get into an encounter, that encounter speed, you have to wait so long before you can even do anything. And then the battle itself is pretty slow. And then don't even get me started when you try and catch something, because you'll be sitting there staring at a can trying to collapse in on a Tenorian for a solid 20 seconds, 30 seconds. And it's just so slow, and it really just kind of drags you out of the game's vibes. It's incredibly annoying. Also, the cutscenes, there are just some periods where they'll complete an action, like Kira pulls out her atlas or whatever it's called, and then there's an incredibly long pause before anything happens, and it's like, why are these pauses there? What are we accomplishing here? It's incredibly annoying. On top of these cutscenes, voice acting, I gotta bring it up. Voice acting, I will say that the voice acting itself isn't bad. However, there are some things that I feared would happen, is that the differing qualities in the microphones, which isn't too bad outside of a few niche characters, but there are also times when like the differences in volume are like really drastic, and so that kind of happened. That kind of takes me out of it a little bit. But the main issue is that you cannot click through the dialogue if voice acting is on. The game will force you to sit there while they read every line, which, I mean, I guess, like, sure, but like give the player the option to click through it. Like, I get that you want us to listen to this dialogue that you've spent time recording and building up, but give us the option, because this is especially prevalent in like the healing station, because the nurse themselves have voice lines. So whenever you go to heal and you have voice acting on, you have to sit there while they're like, "Hi, do you want us to heal?" And it's like, let me play the game. Because I played the game on stream with voice acting on, because, I mean, Lucky was out there like, yo, play the game with the voice acting on, really feel the game for what it is. And I was like, fair, I will do that. But man, I really wanted to turn it off, and I'm probably going to turn it off moving forward because it just slows the game down way too much. It is so slow. Man. But yeah, that's my general feel of the game. It's pretty slow. Another issue, y'all have some great maps. It's one of the really good points about the game. Y'all killed the environmental building. There is absolutely no reward for exploring the map. None. Well, there's one, and it's the legendary encounter at the. I won't spoil where, but you know, there's one instance where exploration is rewarded, and a lot of people missed it because by the time they get to that point, they've realized that there's no point in exploring the map, so they don't. And it's incredibly annoying that like there is no reason to explore the map. Like you just go from point A to point B. You don't need to take the time to look at the maps, and it's like the game is pretty linear. And so like no one would blame you for just ignoring everything around the map because there's nothing around the maps. And yeah, that's unfortunate that there's like literally zero reason. Well, one. There's literally one reason to look at the map. But man, now also what I forgot about when I brought up the battles, there is a real problem. I'm gonna draw a parallel to Doodle World because this is like I could very much like it's very comparable. In Doodle World, when you're in a battle, it honestly looks like you're just staring at a wall because again, it's 2D and stuff, and the animations aren't all that intense. Like the doodles aren't animated, or at least they technically are because there's like 3 frames of them that vaguely shifting their positions. But honestly, while this game is in 3D and the Tanorians are indeed animated, the camera is not. It's just static. It's just there. It's in one position, and like, and this also the problem is magnified by the fact that the actual battle animations are that they lack dynamic as well. Like the visual effects do look good. It's just they're really brought down by the fact that the camera is static. Like they'll just like these like for the move torch for example, it'll just spawn fire on the target. So the camera is just in place and they're just lit on fire. And so that lack of dynamic camera movement really kind of just makes it look like I'm looking at a wall. There's nothing really happening in the battle. And one could say that Lumion Legacy is also guilty of this. Like they have a static battle camera. Like, and when I say battle camera, I mean like in the actual turn during when the Tanorians are hitting each other or Lumions or whatever. Because if you sit there idle long enough picking your move, the camera will move, which is honestly a lot of the movements are quite jarring. And so I'd say add a little bit of easing. You know, it slows down before moving on to the next like camera shift. But I'm specifically talking about like the action camera. In Lumion, it's also static. It just sits there. However, the animations themselves, for example, Elemental Burst with like Zulong or something. I mean, it doesn't matter what's using it, but Elemental Burst, it'll start with the user. It'll summon some orbs, and it'll start spinning, and it'll fire off at the target, creating a big blast, and that thus creates that dynamic animation, kind of engaging the user. This game, the Tales of Tanorio, lacks that entirely. It's incredibly static, so I'm hoping stuff like that is improved in the future. Now, these last things, potions, I was never going to use them anyway, so I never looked at them, but then people pointed out to me, they're percentage based and they're incredibly expensive. Like the normal potions, like what, 1/8? And then like the large potions, like 1/3. And then you have the max potion or full restore, which is like, why? Why? Like think about the early game, like these low level potions, you know, you'd have them in the early game. You have like 20 health. You restore 1/8 of that. What's that gonna give you? Like 2 health. Who wants to use a potion for 2 health? maybe 3. You might get lucky with 3, although that's 15%. So it would round down. You would get 2 health. Who wants to use a potion for 2 health? So that definitely needs addressed. And then repels. Dear God, they did address the cost of repels very quickly into the release day. But the repels themselves are incredibly annoying. They last for an incredibly short duration, and they don't even tell you when they wear off. So you'll just be moving around with the repel on, and then you'll just encounter something because you didn't know it wore off. Now, they can stack. You can apply multiple at the same time, but that doesn't change the fact that each one individually already lasts a pretty short duration. And so, like, you're not getting much out of them, and you don't know when they wear off. So it's like, why don't you at least, at the very least, get a message notifying you that they've worn off? It's kind of annoying. But I think that covers all of my problems. Again, these are problems I'm not including like actual like game-breaking bugs right now. That's a different can of worms. But like I think I got everything on my list here. I'm scrolling up and down looking at it. I think I got everything. And so I'm going to move on to some of the good points. Because it's not like out of all these things that there's only negative things to say about the game, because they did execute well in a few points. And I hope that people are not offended by the fact that this list is generally going to be smaller. But like I said earlier, the environment builds, despite the fact that there's literally no reason to look at them, they look good. They did well. There's a very nice vibe to them, which is especially complemented by the fact that their music goes really hard at, matching those vibes or setting the vibes. And one area I want to point out, especially the museum cutscene, the music really sets the vibe there. I'm not saying it's the best track out of, it's not my favorite track out of the OST, but it's definitely really good at setting those vibes. So good job on the music and good job on the building, because those are good. Keep it up. Trainers, the tamers, trainers, whatever they're called. Generally in Pokemon games, they drop a little one-liner before they start the battle. However, in this game, they walk up to you and the battle starts immediately. And as it's loading, before they're about to send out their Tanorian, they drop their line there. And I feel like it gives a little bit, I don't know. It just hits different for me. I kind of like it. I like it. The lines do appear like a blur though. So a lot of people are going to miss that, but I like it. And another thing that gives it more life, or gives more life to the game, is that we only have one legendary encounter in the game right now. Rightfully so. We're pretty early on into the game. However, the encounter itself actually gives a lot of character to that legendary. Without spoiling like the design or anything, it's a very parasitic in nature. And so when you encounter it, it's actually sapping the power of another Tanorian through the fight. And so that just gives it a lot more life. And I really appreciate that there's that level of attention to detail. And I hope that trend continues in future legendary encounters. And like I said earlier, the visual effects also, like, the game generally looks good, except for the UI. If we're not including the UI, the game looks good. So like environments and all that stuff, the VFX, the visuals, those are really well done as well. Even in the limited quantity we have right now, they look very nice. And despite how the camera work does them dirty, they do look nice. And as for one other thing that gives the game more life, the weather events, the diverse nature of them, and like the variants. We've only seen a couple in the game so far. I've only seen wind, rain, and then the recent shooting stars. I know there's a few more. But we're going to experience them in the future going forward, obviously. But I do appreciate the variance and kind of like it gives players a reason to log on at certain times, which is nice. I like that. But overall, if I were to give a rating for the game right now, based on this first impression, like how I felt during the release of it, I'd probably just give it a right in the middle, 5 out of 10. And that's not including the bugs, because it would definitely be lower if I included the bugs. But the game itself was clearly rushed, as I said earlier. The fact that they wanted to release this 3 weeks earlier originally is crazy to me, considering how it released on Sunday. The game was definitely just not ready, and it definitely failed to make a really exciting first impression. And then as for the bugs themselves, because I've been avoiding them, there were definitely a lot of them that hindered gameplay, and I'm not trying to slight anybody here, like the testers, the devs. I'm genuinely surprised that some of them did make it to release, because there was Ruptures, which was an end game kind of thing for players to enjoy after they get through the story. They're like raids. They just didn't work. You just couldn't do them. I tried a couple times and I never managed to get past turn 2. And it's I'm not sure how it was missed. I'm sure there was I don't know. It was just some kind of error in moving the game from the private version to the public version, and it's honestly baffling that it wasn't caught, considering how non-functional it was. There were also various cutscenes that soft-locked people. Luckily for me, I dodged all of them. I managed to get through the game without getting soft-locked. However, what I didn't manage to avoid is the fact that mounts just throw you in the void. And oh my god, the amount of rage I experienced because I kept forgetting that mounts just didn't work sometimes. It was honestly very annoying. Bro, can we please get something functional in this game? Please? And then there was also a data loss bug related to the PC storage. I didn't experience that, thankfully, because I managed to dodge it. But however, I know Jamie did fall victim to that. He lost 3 hours of progress, which is big oof. So yes, I think the game as of right now is pretty mid and definitely needs a lot of time to actually fix their current slew of problems. I definitely will continue to stay up to date, and I encourage others to do the same. Stay up to date on their updates and their improvements, because they have been trying to make a lot of improvements these past few days. Ruptures apparently are pretty much fixed at this point. I haven't tried them myself yet, but let me know in the comments if you've been able to get through Ruptures recently. But yeah, the game definitely has a lot of potential. Their goal, or at least from the words of Lucky, the community manager, their goal is to create a game that changes how we view these kinds of games on Roblox. And there's a lot we can see there that yeah, they've done a few things that others haven't done. However, I will say it's really just Pokemon features right now, like features we've seen in Pokemon games. But I digress. I mean, we haven't seen them on Roblox yet, so you can't really get on their case for it, right? But the game has a ton of potential. I don't hate the game. I just not impressed by it at the moment. And let me know in the comments about what parts you think I'm being unfair about, because I've waited on doing this because I wanted to be as fair as possible when talking about this, because I've been incredibly critical throughout the development period, and I'm trying to there was a point where I was incredibly aggressive and demeaning when I made a comment. It only really happened once, but that one time is definitely sticking with me, and I'm trying to avoid doing that again. So if you believe anything I've said in this video is unfair, let me know in the comments, and we can definitely have a discussion about it. But be warned, I do believe I have been fair. So if I bite back, I'm just trying to start a conversation. That's all I'm trying to say. But yeah, let me know your thoughts. How you think the game feels, give me your rating 1 out of 10. And yeah, I'ma just, I'm gonna wait to see how the game goes. So yeah, if you enjoyed, leave a like, subscribe for more. I don't know what other content I'll be doing on Tales of Tanorio yet, because PvP is not a thing yet, and it looks like it won't be a thing for a while. So let me know what you want to see, and yeah, have a good day. Bye-bye.